mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM at AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL. Brian Wilson sitting in today with Jim Robbins, who's the senior editorial writer at the Washington Times. It's good to have you here, Jim, because you have so much expertise in foreign policy matters as well. We are joined on the phone line by our good friend Tucker Carlson from the Daily Caller. Tucker, I'm just going to let you have the floor. Talk about the debate. What were your thoughts? What got your attention? What did you like? What did you not like?
Well, I thought, and I say this as someone who was not a fan of the president's and who would eat broken glass before voting for him, but I thought Obama acquitted himself better than he did in either of the other two debates. And I think that has to do with just the nature of the topic. It's pretty easy for the president to appear presidential when he's talking about his decisions on the foreign policy stage. You know, his relationship with the military, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there was much that Obama said that you could criticize as false or phony, and some of his posturing was a little bit unbearable. But the fact is, his advantage going into that debate was so profound that he couldn't, in my view, that he couldn't help but do fine. From a political perspective, it's very hard to believe that debate moves any numbers at all.
Yeah, I think you're right.
To see the ratings, you know, from being in television for so long, that foreign policy-related topics tend to push people to switch to Wheel of Fortune pretty quick.
Yeah, well, there is that, but we were sort of surprised. We've been talking about it all morning long that Mitt Romney did not go on the attack about the situation in Benghazi, where there are some serious questions here. Now, I think those on the right were really hoping that would be the case, but there's sort of a political strategy behind it, isn't there?
Well, this is my take from watching it last night, that Governor Romney feels that he's the front runner and that he doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize that position. He's a pretty cautious person, I would say, by nature, and that he seemed to just kind of want to ride it out in the hopes that his momentum is such that he's going to win if he doesn't screw it up. That's not my read of the numbers. I think Romney does have momentum, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion he wins. You know, all things being equal, Romney wins? No, all things being equal, Obama wins. Obama is the incumbent president, and he has built-in advantages as such, and he also has constituencies that are going to vote for him no matter what he does. So you gotta knock him off the throne, and I thought that Romney didn't try hard enough to do that.
Tucker, this is Jim Robbins. What do you think about the sort of the conventional wisdom that's out there that Obama won on points, but Romney won on the looking presidential scale?
I've never understood what winning on points means. Maybe I'm not enough of a sports fan. If that means he said the most rational and provably true things, I guess I disagree with that. And for whatever it's worth, and it's probably not much, I thought Romney seemed kind of sweaty and out of sorts. But I'm always struck by, I try and stay off Twitter because it is this hive of nastiness and high self-regard and just dumbness where everybody's opinion starts to resemble everyone else's opinion after a while. So because I'm not on Twitter during the debates, I lose track of what other people think. I don't know, maybe that's why I'm out of step, but I didn't think Romney looked that great. Again, I actually don't think it matters so much. He performed in the debate he needed to perform in, and maybe my view is so out of the mainstream that, not another person shares it, but that's what I thought.
The president said last night that sequestration, it's not my fault. Congress came up with that, which I'm not sure is exactly true. But the other part of that was he said, and it's not going to happen. I was like, really, Mr. President? Well, what's going to stop it? At this point, I don't see anything that is in line to stop that.
Well, I don't think the president said it's not going to happen. He snapped, it's not going to happen. Well, that's not going to happen. Almost like your teenage daughter does as she storms out of the house. I don't think it's got all clear it's not going to happen. Of course it could happen. And by the way, we're facing sequestration because of a law passed in 2011, during which point I think Obama was president.
That's I heard.
So he's a very hands-off guy with regard to Congress. I think it absolutely could happen. I mean, you have to have both sides come to a deal, and who's going to lead that deal, and what are its outlines on it? That's still not clear. Maybe the president just doesn't know the state of play on the Hill. That's a possibility.
And yet no questions about some things that I wanted to hear. We never got into the Euro crisis, which has a tremendous impact on our own economy, and Operation Fast and Furious, not one question.
Well, especially the Euro crisis. I mean, that's a lot more. I mean, I'm sorry the Israelis and the Palestinians haven't achieved peace in our lifetime, but at a certain point, we spend a lot of time and money and attention on that question, and we should. But as compared to what's happening in the European economy right now, it's maybe somewhat less significant than it has been in the past. So, it's time to open our eyes to the new reality of the world. And we really are tied to Europe. That's not a joke. I agree with you completely. It was bizarre that wasn't mentioned.
All right, so 2 weeks to go. The poll's very close. What happens next?
I'm just so struck by look, if you were coming from a foreign country or you had no predicate for this race and just looked at the numbers now, you would say Romney has a really good shot to win. But for some reason, the in-trade numbers, the market on this stuff where people predict, and they usually with some accuracy, has Romney down 20 points.
Wow.
And I really think it has to do with demographic change in the country. I think political consultants on both sides understand it's just easier for Obama, and this is reflected in the Electoral College numbers, because the composition of America has changed so much in ways that just favor the Democratic Party. So the generic Democrat in a national race just has a huge advantage right now. And I don't think that's changed.
Ground game, ground game, ground game. It's all about the ground game now,
Exactly.
Don't you agree? Yeah. Well, Tucker Carlson with the Daily Caller. It's so good to have you. We always appreciate when you drop by.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. It makes my morning.
Well, we'll have you back again then.